Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you're tuning in right now, chances are you know the overwhelming, incredibly heavy weight of the invisible mental load. You know exactly what it feels like to constantly juggle a million different expectations. You know, the career goals, the mental load of the household logistics, the emotional needs of your relationships, and still somehow feel like you're falling behind, right? Well, I want you to take a deep breath right now, because today we're going to shift that entire paradigm. We're stepping into a coaching mindset to tackle this head on. We're moving away from frantic rushing and stepping intentionally toward, well, intentional living. So let's dive right into this.
First off, I really want to validate exactly what you might be feeling right now. Your burnout, it is not a personal failure. It's actually just diluted energy. It's literally what happens when you try to do every single thing all at once and end up finishing absolutely nothing. It's an exhausting cycle to be trapped in. But here's the radical, honestly life-changing idea we're going to explore today. True peace comes the very moment you realize and genuinely accept that you cannot have it all. Instead, applying the concept of priority becomes your absolute number one key to mental clarity.
So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to hit 6 strategic pillars to completely shift your mindset. The diluted energy trap, urgent versus important, the power of selective neglect, peace as priority 1, the self-care foundation, and finally, focus on one thing. Let's get started. All right, starting right off with section 1, the diluted energy trap. You know, we've been sold this massive, exhausting lie, especially as women, that we can and absolutely should flawlessly do it all. But trying to be the perfect professional, the perfect mother, and the perfect partner, it actually destroys our mental clarity. It splinters our focus until we literally have nothing left to give to the things that genuinely matter to us. You can't have it all, but you can have what matters most. Take a second to really absorb that hard truth. Letting go of that superwoman fantasy is the absolute first step to reclaiming your focus. You've got to drop the heavy luggage of unrealistic expectations before you can even start walking the path to peace.
Moving right along to section 2, urgent versus important.
So to reclaim our focus, we need a filter, right? Enter the classic Eisenhower matrix, which perfectly maps out the critical difference between the loud, constant noise of your day and your actual long-term values. What's wild is that most of our daily anxiety comes directly from the urgent side of life. We're talking emails, notifications, or the frantic pinging of a school volunteer group chat. These things just scream for our attention. But let's be real, they rarely serve our actual long-term peace. On the flip side, we have our important values, things like long-term peace and dedicated family time. Now, these are quiet. They don't buzz in your pocket. And because of that, they're the easiest things to accidentally neglect if we aren't incredibly careful.
So, how do we actually practically fix this in real life? By intentionally aligning your energy with your values and letting that urgent but unimportant noise just fade into the background. Let's say your priority is family time. Empower yourself to turn those work notifications off at 6 p.m. Literally, just flip the switch. That so-called urgent request, it can absolutely wait until tomorrow. Real peace comes from knowing you're intentionally honoring your highest value instead of just reacting like an over-caffeinated robot to the loudest noise in the room.
Okay, section 3, the power of selective neglect.
Now this right here, this is a massive paradigm shift. We usually think of the word neglect as a bad thing. Women, especially, are so often conditioned to say yes, simply to keep the peace or to manage the emotional labor of everyone around them. But choosing what to completely ignore today actually requires real, profound courage. To say yes to a true priority, you absolutely must have the courage to say no to something else. You really have to accept that some things just must be left undone. Intentional neglect is basically the secret engine of peace. You aren't failing, you're actively, strategically choosing what gets your limited, precious energy today. Let's say your main priority today is wrapping up a major project. You might deliberately choose to neglect the laundry or having a perfectly pristine kitchen for 24 hours. And instead of letting the guilt of that second shift completely kill your peace, I want you to look at that overflowing laundry basket like it's a modern art installation. Seriously, feel proud of it. That mess is undeniable proof of your prioritization. You protected your main goal, and that is a win. Which brings us to section 4, peace as priority 1. It is officially time to completely dethrone our traditional metrics of success. Society constantly teaches us to make success, money, or the approval of others our absolute top priority. And what happens? We end up sacrificing our own sanity just to be liked or to appear highly capable to everyone else. But if you flip this dynamic, if you make inner peace your absolute permanent number one priority, every single life decision suddenly becomes incredibly easy. Because you can literally just ask yourself this one ultimate filter question. Will this add to my peace or subtract from it? You've got to ask yourself this before accepting any new invitation, any new task, or taking on any new responsibility. It is your absolute ultimate compass. Let's say someone asks you to join the PTA or some neighborhood committee. Now, you already know it's going to be full of passive-aggressive emails and late-night drama. If peace is your priority, your answer is crystal clear. You kindly, gracefully decline. Sure, you might lose the quote-unquote status of being on that committee, but look at what you gain, the incredible, untouchable wealth of a quiet mind. Honestly, that is a fantastic trade every day of the week. All right, moving into section 5, the self-care foundation. You know, prioritization isn't just some abstract mental exercise. It is a hard physical reality. Self-care is the absolute foundation of everything we're talking about today. It's not just some optional luxury for when you miraculously find spare time. You cannot pour from an empty cup. We have all heard the cliche, yet women in particular are constantly expected to just keep pouring until they are completely dry, expected to be the endless source of support for their families and workplaces. But listen to me. If you do not prioritize your own rest, your movement, and your nutrition, I promise you, your body will eventually force a break through illness or severe burnout. You simply cannot cheat biology. All right, let's make this super tactical. Step 1. Put your own well-being on your calendar first. Treat it exactly like a non-negotiable doctor's appointment. Step 2. If physical health is your priority, schedule a 30-minute walk before you agree to that morning coffee meeting. Block it out. Step 3. Realize that by fiercely protecting this foundation, you are actively maintaining the physical and mental energy you actually need to navigate the rest of your daily challenges peacefully. And finally, section 6, focus on one thing. You know that modern anxiety? The kind that makes your chest feel all tight? That is literally the result of trying to think about 10 things at once. We are so often told that multitasking is a woman's superpower. Well, actually, scratch that. It's not a superpower at all. It's just a one-way ticket to burnout. Real peace is the result of doing one thing at a time with total presence. At any given moment, just ask yourself, what is the single most important thing right now? If you're playing with your kids, make them the priority. Don't casually check your phone, don't draft emails in your head. By giving 100% of your attention to the current priority, you completely eliminate that exhausting split-brain stress. You find deep, situational peace right there in the present moment. So, to wrap up everything in this explainer today, just remember this one rule. If everything is a priority, nothing is a priority. Inner peace is simply the mastered art of choosing your vital few and intentionally dropping the trivial many. It is a daily, active choice you have to make. I'm going to leave you with a direct challenge right now. If you had to pick just 3 things, literally only 3, that are your absolute priorities for this week, what would they be? And is there anything on your current, probably bloated to-do list that is getting in their way? Take a really hard look at your life today. Protect your peace. Make the brave choice to neglect the noise